Hi everybody, hope you are doing well. We get to the Parsha of Balak as we have a double Parsha this week, Chukah and Balak. And we know the famous story of Balak hiring Bilam Harasha to curse the Jewish people, and Baruch Hashem, he was unsuccessful. Interestingly, the Torah describes Bilam Harasha as someone who was Yodea Das Elyon. The Torah, Perek Chav Dalet, Pasuk Tezayin, describes Bilam as knowing Hashem's knowledge, literally. What does that mean that Bilam understood the knowledge of God? He had some form of understanding of God. Rashi quotes the Gemara Maseches Brachos that Bilam was able lechavein hasha'a shekoes ba. Bilam understood the hour of the day, the moment of the day when Hashem was angry. The Gemara in Maseches Brachos elaborates that there's a very, very, very tiny microscopic time frame during the day when Hashem gets angry, kiviyachol. It's not clear what that means exactly. And the Gemara says that if Bilam would have cursed the Jewish people at that very instant, it could have harmed the Jewish people. And God, Baruch Hashem, did us a tremendous favor and did not get angry at all. Even his regular tiny drop, even that tiny bit, Hashem did not express anger, and therefore Bilam was unsuccessful. Wow. So what does this mean that Bilam knew the time of day when Hashem would be angry? Ask Tosfos on that Gemara, Maseches Brachos, Daf Zayin Aleph. Even if Bilam were to know that time frame, so what? What curse can someone utter in such a small time frame? And Tosfos argues that if Hashem were upset and Bilam would have started to curse the Jewish people, he could have continued, even though Hashem was no longer angry. Meaning, as long as Hashem was upset for a second and Bilam caught that moment, the curse would have been successful. What emerges from this Tosfos is that the power of anger is catastrophic. Literally, if Bilam would have tapped into that moment, even though by the time Bilam finished his curse, the anger has already subsided, nonetheless, the damage has already been done. Now, Baruch Hashem, that did not happen. But the reality is reflected in this Tosfos that a very small moment of anger can unfortunately lead to catastrophic consequences. I know, at least for me, probably the most difficult challenge of COVID-19 has been to remain calm at all moments in the home. Baruch Hashem, with little children, I think that everyone has their own schedule, their own needs. With big children, I would imagine everyone has their own schedule and their own needs. Even if you just live with one other person, everyone has their own schedule and their own needs. And often there's a conflict, and whereas generally life allows for the basic social need of having your own space and your own air to breathe, COVID-19 and social distancing has really taken a shot at a basic human social need to just have your own space, your own air to breathe. And this will lead to a severe test in the midah of ka'as, of anger. And it's literally forbidden to become angry. I want to share with you the analysis of the Mesilas Yesharim, the Sefer written by Rav Moshe Chaim Zulato, the most famous Sefer with regards to Jewish thought and Musar ever written. And the Mesilas Yesharim, based off of the Mishnah Pirkei Avos, describes there are different levels of anger. And what's the highest level? What's the most prestigious achievement one can make in this regard of controlling anger? He writes, the Mesilas Yesharim in Perek Yud Aleph, page Pei Hey in my print, he writes that if someone is in the category of kasha lechos, it's hard for him to get angry, v'noach lirtzos, but easily gets appeased, that means that the person has anger inside of him, and guess what? It just lasts for a moment, and he's still in control. That's really all it means. And he keeps his mouth quiet. The Gemara in Chulin says the pasuk in Iyov, which is Tola Eretz Ablima, is referring to the person Al Misha Bolem Piv B'Shas Meriva, the person who keeps his mouth quiet at the time of a fight, and he's able to just let the anger pass. What I think is important to point out is that the Gemara is not saying the ultimate goal is to never be angry. Anger is a natural human emotion. The goal is to not let it express itself. And that's the key, I think, to learn from this week's Parsha, If Bilam would have just tapped into that second of God's anger, he could have uttered a catastrophic curse. And so too we. If we're angry and we open our mouths, it can really lead to major issues of shalom bias and issues of chinuch, Rahman al-Islam. So, of course, anger is part of our lives. It's a natural response. And our goal should not be to not feel angry, but rather our goal needs to be how to properly respond to this most basic human nature. And we should all be zocheh to mekayim this midah of not opening our mouths in anger, but setting a tone of calm peace in the home, of shalom bayis and simcha and ava. And although this might be particularly challenging in this time, we should all be zocheh to have the strength to do it. Have a wonderful Shabbos.